Hello, New York Giants fans, and welcome to your Giants News Roundup for Wednesday, February 16th. I'm your host, Ed Valentine of Big Blue View, and there's no doubt that the pace of news, the pace of activity around your New York Giants has slowed. Now that the Giants have a general manager, now that they have a head coach, now that they've hired a complete coaching staff, the news that was coming fast and furious for a few weeks out of East Rutherford, New Jersey, has slowed down a little bit. We have the NFL Combine coming up in a couple of weeks, free agency coming up, the draft coming up. So there will still be a lot to talk about, plenty of things to keep you coming back to Big Blue View here on YouTube, on our podcast channel, on our website at bigblueview.com, wherever you choose to get your news and information, and however you choose to get it. There is a Big Blue View outlet for you to do that, and we hope you'll take advantage of any and all of those. Anyway, just a couple of news updates for you. There was something that flashed by on my Twitter feed on Tuesday. Colin Cowherd saying that Kayvon Thibodeaux, the defensive end edge rusher from Oregon, expected to be a top draft pick this coming April. Apparently, according to Cowherd, had told Cowherd that he believes he will be a New York Giant. Listen, I'm not going to discredit Cowherd's report. For all I know, Thibodeaux did tell Cowherd that. But what I am going to say is while it is entirely possible that Thibodeaux is a Giant in when the draft concludes in April, it's 2.5, 3 months away at this point. You're going to hear a lot of things. A lot of people are going to say a lot of things. A lot of people are going to throw a lot of speculation against the wall, including yours truly, most likely. So who knows at this point? Nobody knows anything for sure. The Giants don't know anything for sure at this point about who's going to be available to them, who they're going to target. There's a lot of time and study to go yet, with the combine coming up and all of that. So take any speculation that you hear like that from Colin Cowherd with a grain of salt. As I said, it could well turn out that way. It might not turn out that way, but there's just going to be a lot of people throwing a lot of things against the wall to see what sticks here over the next couple of months. So just keep that in mind, and don't try not to overreact to any of the speculation that you hear. Minor signing on Tuesday by the Giants. They signed wide receiver Austin Proehl, most recently on the practice squad of the Buffalo Bills. Proehl's been in the NFL since 2018, did 2 tours with the Bills, also been with a few other NFL practice squads as well, has never played a regular season snap, caught a regular season pass. But this is the continuation of Joe Schoen, and Brian Daboll bringing players from Buffalo. Proehl joins running back Antonio Williams and quarterback Davis Webb as players, most recently with the Bills, who are now members of the New York Giants. We'll have to see if any of them stick. The interesting note about Proehl is that he is the son of former NFL wide receiver Ricky Proehl and he's the brother of current Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Blake Proehl. So there is a family NFL receiving lineage there. Now that in speaking about Antonio Williams, please check out an interview that I did with Antonio Williams that we'll post across the Big Blue View podcast network, wherever you listen to podcasts. That will post on Wednesday morning. So please check that out. Williams, of course, coming to the Giants from the Buffalo Bills. He's a really interesting story. Nice guy to talk to. Told us a couple good stories about Brian Daboll and his relationship with Joe Schoen. and about his involvement in NASCAR, which is interesting this week with the Daytona 500 coming up. The only other thing that I really wanted to mention is thanks to a reader email that I got to the Big Blue View inbox at bigblueview@gmail.com, put together a look at the potential Giants roster for 2022. This is not a 53-man roster projection. What it is a breakdown of players on the current roster, undrafted free agents, or unrestricted free agents, excuse me, who I think will be back with the Giants in 2022. And what I came up with as I went position by position through the roster, I put guys in different categories, and I came up with a category I called likely to stay. And on a 53-man roster, what I came up with before the draft, before free agency, before we know if the Giants will bring back any of their 21 unrestricted free agents, I came up with 19 players who I think are likely to stay next season. A couple of those guys you can argue about whether Saquon Barkley might get traded, and maybe a couple of other guys on the list who could be moved before the season begins. And there are a few other guys who are free agents or guys that I put in a competing for spots category who might stick around. But I was comfortable in saying that I think 19 players that the Giants currently have on their roster will be part of their season opening 53-man roster if they're healthy. And to be honest, that's not a lot. You'll still have, some free agent signings, although the Giants won't be big players in free agency. You'll have a few guys brought in. You'll have the draft picks coming up, and right now the Giants have 9 picks. Best guess, a guesstimate at this point would be 7 of those guys making the final 53-man roster. So you're still looking at 20 to 25 open roster spots, competitive roster spots when training camp opens. So it will be a very interesting, wide open training camp in a few months that we'll look forward to. As I said, 19 likely to stay players is simply not that many. Just gives you an idea of the type of overhaul, the type of work that Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll have to do here as they build the Giants for 2022 and beyond. All right, Giants fans, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.